Welcome to Enjoy the Collective. I'm Marseille. Join my guests and I as we chop up the realities of the creative industry. I'm so glad you're here, so let's get into it. We have some of the most influential, creative, dope people on the couch today. We have Willkay, we have Wumzum, and Olivia. So yeah, let's get it going. So today, I really want to talk to you guys about collaboration and the art of collaboration. I was saying earlier that for me, I'm someone who's always worked by themselves. I'm like a lone wolf. I like to get things done. I'm efficient. But I kind of recognized later on that actually working with other people is an amazing experience and actually really important and really impactful. So for those who don't know, we all work together in an unconventional way. So we collaborated kind of sort of throughout the pandemic on a project called Happy Here.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, yeah.
So Happy Here is an anthology for 7 to 12-year-olds. It features 10 Black British authors and poets and 10 Black British illustrators, which you three are a part of. So I guess with the project, working remotely but together, how did you find that experience? How did you find working from someone else's words first, so you not being the initiator of the creative process, working from that and then being able to kind of come up with something that you felt best represented the work but also represented who you are? Well, feel free to jump in.
I feel for me it was more about understanding the brief. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't understand the brief, I would have not been able to create the characters. So it was a process of reading the story more than 20 times and maybe like becoming the characters. That helped out a lot to develop what they look like, what they may, what their shape and size may, appear like. So it was more understanding the story. That was very important.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I've been doing kind of this whole back and forth with writers for a long time. I mean, when we had the Better and Bettini collective, we had a whole exhibition which was based on giving art to writers and writers giving, their writing to artists. And I kind of like the process of allowing myself to interpret and allowing myself to kind of, all right, what's my style? What kind of things do I want to draw and how can I find a way to make it fit this whole narrative? So I read the brief and I read.
Do you?
I mean,
honestly, you read the brief?
I read the brief. Do you know what? I take keywords. I take keywords. No, I take keywords. I do want to get a sense of what the writer's saying, but I want the freedom and the wiggle room to be able to tell my story through my art. And I mean, sometimes when it's direct and it's like this needs to happen, that needs to happen, it's cool. But even with Happy Here, I felt like there was a wiggle room. I almost feel like there was a back and forth. I feel like when I drew what I drew, she went back and decided I'm gonna write something a little different. I feel like it was a bit of a
inspired.
Back and forth. But yeah, you want there to be enough wiggle room so that you can communicate.
Yeah. Or for yourself?
I think for me, I was conscious of the age of the reader. Yeah. So I personally haven't really made work for 7 to 12-year-olds. Yeah. So for me, that was quite a challenge. And I was like, okay, how can I switch up my style so it communicates well for them? Also echoing Willkay, reading the story many times, familiarizing myself with Dean's work, thinking about, okay, how can Asha look? How can this other character look? What's the setting like? What does the place smell like? What does it sound like? Thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's good.
These guys are making me seem like the naughty one.
No, well, what you touched on, it kind of made me think, and it's not a question that I have, but it made me think, you spoke about being able to have wiggle room, and me being the creative director of the process, I know that I generally have a hands-off approach. I just kind of want people to interpret what they get. But does that work for you? Would you have appreciated maybe more direction? Because obviously you're coming into something completely cold. We're not able to really meet and really chop it up. And I've just kind of emailed you something. For some of you, I had a chat on the phone. But yeah, would more direction been helpful? Or do you prefer like the wiggle room to like interpret?
I like the freedom, you know.
Yeah,
I did like it.
I feel like the freedom's important, and it's a challenge as well. Creatively, you want to be challenged. You don't want everything to be laid out for you. So once you have a challenge, you're able to discover a whole kind of side to yourself as well. So I felt that I took it as it came. It wasn't like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. It was just like, how are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
So that was very important.
I feel like a part of my hands-off approach probably comes from the fact that like when I'm on the other end, I don't want people telling me what to do. Like I got this. Like, you've hired me. I can do my job.
Yeah.
So to Wumi's point, Wumi touched on, you know, a collective that he started with Adib back in the day called Bado and Bettini, which I was a part of.
Yep.
So all of you have experience being a part of a creative community, being a part of a collective. What would you say has been your biggest lesson being a part of a collective? Your biggest takeaway? Is that tough? Is that a big question?
That's hard, there's a lot.
Should I?
Yeah, go through.
Yeah, you go first.
I just know that it's important to remember that if you are part of a collective, everyone's going to have an opinion. And you need to respect everyone's opinion, but everyone needs to remember that we are all aiming for one thing, and you all need to come together. So I think it's always important to discuss your issues, kind of being on the same
page.
On the same page, yeah, that's very important. Or else the project will not happen if you're not able to work together as a collective. And whether you like it or not, issues will always be there. Yeah. It's a bit like, I want to say chaos is like a ladder. So if you don't have any issues in your group, you may not produce the best work. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just felt like the issues I've always been able to bring the best out of everyone.
Well, yeah,
that resistance.
That's
and the
it,
fact that you have to problem solve with other people and just funnel your energy into the right things. That's super interesting, man. Like, for me, it's the idea of everybody having an idea of the shared goal and the idea of what it's going to lead to. I've started so many collectives, and like, I mean, I've folded so many collectives. but at the same time, like, what's so cool is that through doing collective work and stuff, like you find the people that you connect with and you find people that you know you can work with. I think one of the things I love about it is that whole, all right, now I've got a catalogue of people who I know I can refer to when there's other work or when there's other projects. So I'm not so sad about not having one collective that is like completely solid. I like the fact that I'm widening my my network through collaborating with other people. And that whole idea, sometimes there's a job that you don't want to do or you think somebody else will be better at, and through, you know, forming collectives you can
do that. I definitely feel that, the kind of passing things on. I think so many logos came to me at a point I was like, I'm not doing anymore. I don't want to do anymore. For Olivia, you are a part of 6 weeks, which what do they not do at this point?
Everybody does a bit of something. I think, you know, because it's multidisciplinary, I feel like that really like pushes and inspires me as well. So I think like important things I've learned from being in a collective is that, you know, I guess like being comfortable sharing the early stages of your work, the roughs. Like obviously there's poets in 6 weeks, and like sometimes they'll come with their early poem, and like you can see like they perform it, and it's not something that you pass around and read. So it's different, isn't it? It's different. Then sometimes I'll come like with my, like, you know, when the drawing, it's not all the way there, you know, and I know where it's going, but maybe other people can't see the vision. But like just being comfortable with sharing that work, getting feedback on it, and also I guess like seeing that everybody like has different expertise, so overall it's just going to enrich your thing. Also, I think what you were saying, that like having that community there, you always have work, to get me. Everybody looks after each other. Do you get what I mean? It's a community. And also seeing that, you know what, like everybody like everyone's timings is different, everyone's paths are different. It's great to see how you all start together and then you flux in and out, in and out, in and out, different speeds, all of that. But it's great to see.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think what you touched on about like sharing early work is the thing that I know for me, like I find so hard. Like I just...
You like it, you want to show them
pristine. Well, enough that they can get like a real sense of where it's going. And I think often, I think within creative circles, people can get a sense of it. But, you know, so in my role as creative director, when illustrators send me like rough work and I present it to the team, I know what this person can do. I know where it's going. But I think I'm having to do a lot of selling to the team because sometimes they just can't, they can't see it. And I think that's what I find tough.
And you know what? Collectors are also great because like it's the conversations. And so many of those conversations that you have just help fuel and funnel what like you could be creating. You know, it reminds me of like university. Like actually for me, that's the best thing I got out of university, actually meeting other creatives. And even outside of your course, going to see what other people are doing in the different departments and shows and stuff like that, because like I would say that is the most valuable thing that I got from university. And I feel like with each collective, I'm trying to recreate that. I'm trying to get that back, that idea. Because think about it, as artists, we spend a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm super extroverted, right? But I spend so much time. But I spend so much time by myself in my room, sort of researching or drawing or doing whatever it is I need to do to get the work done. And like recently, I had an experience for about 6 months. I had a studio and I was sharing it with like 3 other guys, and it was so nice to have like other people, and it was a writer, a director, a technical director, and like I showed them what I do, and they're giving their different perspectives, you know, and that was just so refreshing to see how they understood it outside of what I just do.
I think that part, like people outside of what you do or your industry or your particular like field, like they're coming at things from a different lens and being able to like feed into that. And I think that is the thing that I love the most. And I think kind of like what you were saying about at university, do you know what I mean? Like making friends with people from different departments, like it just enriches the idea because you're now seeing things in a different way. So on the theme of collaboration and knowing that ultimately it's really a meeting of the minds and 2 ideas coming together, 2 voices coming together, how would you describe your creative voice and what you bring to a project?
Come here with the hard question.
I guess it's not something you think about, you just do it, right? Like you don't think like, today I'm going to be really reflective. And
you don't. You just go with the flow. I think being a creative and being an artist throughout the years, you discover different points of view. So you're able to choose what you want to do. So I don't know. I'm not able to put the right words to it, but I just go with how it. Whatever comes out, comes out. So
you won't be pigeonholed to a voice.
No, that's because obviously I just feel like even currently right now, I feel like I've got a different voice, but I'm pretty sure in a few months I'll be more of a different. You just in and out. So you can't really decide to have one voice. You just you kind of become like
take on different voices.
That's it, like a chameleon. You just.
That's true.
That's how I feel about it.
Illustrators are in a way kind of chameleons because a lot of the time we're doing stuff to brief. We're a bit different to like artists, you know, painters and stuff like that, because they just spend so much time like in their studios smelling paint. Like, but us man, we kind of have to like engage with people and clients in a certain way. So there's almost like a skill that we have to be a chameleon. To go into their spaces and tell their stories and do this and all of that. And I guess the interesting thing is in that we still have to find our own voice, our own style. And actually for me, like style is like something I've developed from just all the things that I've been inspired by and all the projects that I've worked on. And it's just become what it is. Other people have come to me and be like, oh, Wummy, that's your style. And I'm like, have I got my style now? Have I got my style? I'm finally sitting in a place where I feel like, all right, I've got my style now. Like, I know what it is. It's from all of these different things. But like, that whole idea of like knowing it straight away doesn't come like that.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's a process and
experience.
Experience, definitely. Of your inspirations, of the works that you've done before, and kind of what you aspire to get to. That being said, you two have like very distinct styles.
No. You have
you two have distinct styles.
You do. No, you do. Like,
all three of you have very distinct styles.
Yo, like,
which is why I selected you for Happy Here.
You do. What are you not seeing?
I always feel like I don't have. No, I've got a style, but I always feel like my voice or my visual language, like, it's taken a while even to get to where it is now, because it's always like I'm trying to get what's in my head out, and it feels like constantly a failed attempt of getting that.
Oh.
I'm not upset. I'm getting there.
The thing is, I get what you're saying, and it is that constant process because you're constantly being stimulated visually. You see amazing things, and then it's like it inspires you, and you wanna get it out. You wanna create it, and sometimes it just doesn't quite take the form of, and I guess it's ultimately problem solving. But you definitely have.
But what I'm saying, like these two, in particularly you, like it's like sometimes I'll get a project, and I'm like, this will work in your style, and I'll actually try to attempt to see if I could do what you do, and it's like it doesn't work in the same way, obviously, because that's what you do. But that's how distinctive your style is. It's kind of like somebody will open up and they'll know it's you. They'll know that's like literally your work in there. And whereas mine, I think mine is a bit more like, there's a lot of comic artists.
There are, but you still have a very specific style. And I think for me, I can recognize the features of the characters you create.
They all look like me.
Yeah, 110.
Yeah, that's cool, though. That's cool.
Because you actually draw them with like maybe bigger features, and I see as well, like, you take some of the features of people that you know, and if I know of them, then I can see their features reflected in other people. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, and there are a lot that do something similar, but
it's your reference, isn't it?
It's your reference.
The people around you are.
And that's what makes it unique, I would say.
Yeah.
Your reference makes it unique. So I guess to flip that question on its head, how do others describe your work?
I would say people come to me for something like honest depiction, maybe like a slow look, like you've taken time to look at it, that kind of
something that keeps giving as you look at it more.
That sounds good. Yeah, I guess like with the Sharpie, I try and do like complex marks, like with just a simple material. So I feel like there is like your eye can travel and enjoy. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
That's so interesting. Like, use simple things to make like complex fit. That's so interesting. Yeah, that's it. That's definitely it with your views, man. Me, I think people just were like people who like comics. People who like comics. People who like cartoons. Anyone who grew up on X-Men, the animated series. Anyone who likes Nintendo, computer games, like all the things that I liked, it just vomited out onto a page, which if they like it, they're gonna like it. There's something about things being alive and living and movement that has always been present in my work. I'm always trying to get dynamic angles and feel like you're inside the painting.
You're good at this, like bringing something to life. Bringing it to life and giving it like movement. You can tell straight away.
The angles for sure. Like I remember when we were commissioning an illustrator for High Rise Mystery by Shana Jackson, sly plug. I came to you and I was like, oh, do you know any illustrators?
I said me.
No, you didn't.
Did I not say
No,
that?
you didn't.
Oh yeah, I gave you a list.
He gave me a whole
I gave you a list,
right?
yeah.
And so
this is how it happened. Let her tell the
So
story.
he gave me a whole list of illustrators, and I presented them to Amy and David. And they were like, oh yeah, these are nice. Like, who is the person that's suggested them? And I was like, oh, this guy. They were like, no, this is the guy.
Imagine.
What were you doing?
Imagine.
And the thing is, it's because with High Rise, like, because it's set on an estate, and so you have different perspective of being in a high-rise building. And Wumi does angles so well, perspective so well, that they were just like, no, like slightly, this is the guy.
That is an awesome moment. It's so funny because the reason I thought about all the other illustrators, because I could have mentioned myself. Maybe it was a lack of confidence, but actually maybe it's also because I feel like I know you, and like I'm not clean, fam. Like you're clean. I swear I sent you a list of illustrators, like, you know, really nice, dainty, clean works and stuff, and I was like, yeah, Marseille will probably like this. My work is not really like, it's not really like in that way. So you kind of, again, that collective mindset, who do I know that would fit this person that I know? But the angle thing, yeah, I'm so glad you got me onto that. And
I'm so glad too.
The angle thing comes from, like, I used to play so many computer games. And when, you know, you can control the camera when you play a computer game. So sometimes I just like spend time in the game, like going under their legs, seeing what they look like from underneath. Like just all those weird things. And I just like got captivated by dynamic angles and stuff like that.
Well, it paid off.
The years, you just collected a lot of data.
Yeah, and ways to think about it. And you still study, like you still got a study perspective and thing. And also murals, like when I paint murals, you're using your whole body to paint, and you have to, like, you're inside the painting and you're like that, and you're like, always have to step back to be how is somebody in? You know, so this is...
So I want to ask you guys, I guess as veterans in the game now, in what ways are you being inspired by new emerging creatives and new talent that's coming up?
That's a nice question. You know, for me, I do teaching, innit? I do
you do.
graphic design and illustration. So for me, my students are sick. That's it. They look at stuff that I've never seen in my life. Do you get what I mean? And you know, like a lot of them are quite international. So I've got one student, she was teaching me about like some designers who are in like Korea and Vietnam. I said, wow, it's lovely, you know, it's lovely. So like, you know, like when they tell me these designers, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna follow and just like see, you know, just absorb bits a little bit. So I think, that's how I stay inspired.
Yeah, your role as a teacher, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, man. That's dope. I always got the impression like our tutors were trying to steal from us.
Swear down.
Yeah, I always got that. I remember one time like after like I think we had a show or something like that, and one of my tutors, I was there with him and we were having drinks, and he was telling me about this Star Wars gig that he got. I said, yo, like, bring me in. He goes, nah, you can't have my clients. I said, I said, yo, so really this guy, he must be studying us so he can get his coin.
But not bring you in.
But not bring me in. It was a bit weird.
Yeah,
but
sounds like he was a little bit threatened.
Oh, so you know, like, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, like, but no, at the end of the day, it's still, you're all being inspired by each other, isn't it? They look at your work and they're like, rah. And also, you've probably got an eye for things that they haven't quite conceptualized yet. Like, they see things, but they don't know how to explain why it's good. And you might know how to explain why it's good. So.
Interesting. I think for me, like, with the inspo, maybe it's like, the way like people apply colour, you're like, wow, like, because I think in my work, colour is not something that I love too tough. So I'm like, oh, like, look at how she's doing that. Like, oh, like, why is it working? And then like, okay, for me and my visual language, what would work? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Touching on colour, I feel the same. I never used to use colour, but now I need to marry colour with my style, so it's just a lot of colour studying, a lot of reading, a lot of understanding. But I would say I stay creative and inspired being a father as well. My daughter's always watching something very colourful, so we sit down and I watch it, and some of the colours that they use in children's programmes and like TV shows are just like mind-blowing. Like I've seen some really incredible stuff recently. I'm just like, oh wow, I'm drawn in.
That's interesting. Like so kids shows are still capturing like.
Oh wow, there's so many like kids and children's programs that are so inspiring, and they want you to sit down and watch them, and even after watching them, you want to create something after that. So a lot of.
So he's doing his job.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I stay inspired by my daughter.
That's good. That's good. So, do you think then, again, as veterans, you have a level of responsibility to create space for emerging creatives and talent and create opportunities for them? And if you agree, how are you doing that?
I feel that for me, I can see myself in the future probably doing something like, if you know X-Men, what Charles Xavier done, he goes around collecting all the X-Men. So I could see myself in the future probably like just finding some really young creatives and putting them together, and we're able to just
A new
open
collective.
doors. Yeah, new collectives. I just feel like working with others always brings out the best in you. And growth is very important as a creative. You can't stick to one dimension. You always have to remember that whether you like it or not, you need to grow.
It's true.
And your as you keep growing, your style will change with you, adapt with you. So I think thinking of creating platforms or inspiring young creatives to keep doing what they're doing is very important, because for me, growing up, I've always had certain individuals who kind of gave me the vision to keep going and be like, if they done it, I can do it. So that's another important thing.
That representation.
Yeah,
when they
very,
see-
very important.
Yeah. This is a hard question for me, because I almost feel like I'm not equipped enough to do that in a way. Like when I think about, like you've gone into lecturing and like I always thought that I can't do that until I've made it. Like, or I can't do that until I've got to a point where I really know I can really articulate what I've done, because I hate like bad teachers, bad art teachers is something that I've always like I always hear people telling me their stories about, you know, washed up teachers. They've only gone into teaching because they failed in their art career. And maybe I've got to let go of that mindset, but that's actually one of the things that's always held me back. It's like, I feel like until I really have something that I feel like I can give to them, I can't. But that's actually got to change.
Yeah, because you have so much to give. You've done so many amazing things. Do you know what I mean? And I think I can really relate to where you're coming from in terms of not feeling equipped because of how you perceive yourself. But some of the work that you have done, like creatives that are coming up, they haven't even been able to touch yet.
Yo.
Do you know what I mean? And the experience that you have, you know, with clients, with tight deadlines, like all of that stuff, that's for them to learn, and they can learn from you. So don't cut yourself out just yet.
Nah, it's true. Like I got to a kind of realization recently that, wow, right now I'm the artist that younger me would have looked at and been like, I want my work to look like that.
Yeah.
And it was such a eureka moment, and then it started making me think, I need to, like, one thing I didn't have back then was somebody like me to be like, yo, here's how you can do it, and to encourage me and all of that. I had to find mentors in other places, and it would have been really nice if I had somebody to kind of encourage me. So how I could be that for somebody else, I'm thinking about it a lot. One thing that I've appreciated recently is whenever I do like events and things, I always make it really accessible. I don't really like the exclusive kind of, this is only for cool people, or this is only for this type of people. I've never really liked that. I've always wanted people to feel like they're a part of it, maybe because I've often felt like shunted from certain environments. So, and when I do put things on, I often, especially young black boys and young black girls actually, come up to me and they'd be like, wow, they get super excited. I'm like, nah, I'm just me. Like, you can do this. Like, and when they show me their work, I'm like, right, you're already like on your way. Like, you've got this that I didn't have when I was your age. Just work on this and work on that. And yeah.
But see, even that, even being able to like recognize what is great about their work, like a lot of people, it's so hard as a creative to be able to see, especially in the early stages, see what value you bring and to really understand what your voice is.
Yeah. You get imposter syndrome.
You do.
You've got to fight that.
You do, and I don't know that it ever really goes away, but I think it's something that we all have to push past, because there are a whole generation of new creatives coming up that really can benefit just from our experience and what we can offer and share.
And I think, you know what you were saying, yeah? You were saying, oh, my mentor. You can be a mentor. You get me? I do mentoring. I've now had 3 mentees. They've all been like kind of young girls. They go to LCC.
Big up LCC.
Yeah. So
I mean, I went Camberwell, but yeah, big up LCC.
Fair. Just, yeah, like, and then I guess like when our mentoring program finished, we're still in contact. Somebody, one of them got a job recently. She put me on her reference.
Wow. Hey.
And I had to gas the girl on the thing. You get me? I had to gas the girl. I put everything excellent. I said, yeah, go for it.
That's what I'm saying.
So I guess like also in like, when you get your commissions and stuff, I was doing this residency with a youth group in Battersea. And basically like we were painting murals, we were doing all of these stuff, and then like the youth worker, he was putting me in touch with the kids who they want to do art as a career, do you get what I mean? So, you know, just also gassing them. Some of them were like just 13, but you start, innit? You start. Yeah, come and paint with me. You know, like the materials, when the materials are like we've used it, I'm like, do you know what, just take it home, innit? Use it at home, do what you can.
I love that. Thank you guys so much. I've really enjoyed it.
Same.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you guys. I think I've loved working with you guys. I wish it could have been more, do you know what I mean, interactive or collaborative.
Corona.
Yeah, nice. It's
got us all.
It's actually a vibe killer, but we still were able to come together. We still were able to make something amazing. I'm so proud of this book. And I love everything you guys are doing. So thank you so much. I just want a round of applause for you guys.
Thank you.
You guys are cool, man. You guys are cool.
All right, so special thank you to today's collective, Willkay, Wumzum, Olivia. Shout out to Renaissance for allowing us to use this amazing space. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.